Uh-oh, it's me again, that guy who complains about a lot of shit. Oh geez, we just had a patch. It happened. The things I complained about are kinda fixed. When I say kinda, I really mean like sort of half-assed, and I just wonder why these things were targeted as if like the devs actually watch my shit and go, oh man, we need to swing one-handers a little faster, or oh god, this guy's complaining about the fucking render distance, might as well just try to fix it so we could just see names and not armor. But anyways, guys, I just wanted to kind of go through essentially like what they fixed and kind of give my little opinion about other things that do need to be fixed, as well as kind of give my credit to the devs for actually, getting up and doing something. Because to me, this looks like a small fix and a small step in the right direction to get things done and actually repair the game. So I think my stupid hat has to go back on. All right, so let's get things straight. Patch 1.0.0.3. Whatever the fuck it is came out a few days ago, and I am kind of just now feeling through it. Unfortunately, I do work full time, so my reactions are going to be way delayed compared to everyone else's reviews on this. But I kind of wanted to give my play-by-play on what's going on, as well as what's fixed and what's definitely not fixed. So let's do like a kind of thing here, and I'm going to keep the hat on because I'm pretty happy. I'm in a good mood, and I just really want to touch on some things I'm happy about. But I also want to do a whole like good and bad thing. Right? Like, I give you a little bit of good and I give you a little bit of bad, and we just kind of try to balance the scales here. And excuse me if I do rant a little bit on the bad, I'll try to keep everything perfectly balanced. So first things first, let me give you the bad. The random dynamic NPCs added around the world. I don't understand why a satyr, a bandit, and an undead all are in the same exact location together. I feel like they just shoddily put everything and just threw it all together with a spawning table into random areas and hoped that would just keep people happy. I don't really see that as good dynamic spawn that makes the world look lived in. In fact, it just, like I said, looks like they took a table of spawns from Undead 1, 2, 3 for Adventurer, and then Satyr 1, Satyr 2, Satyr 3, and it had an entire table and said, okay, well, this area is going to have spawn grouping 3 through 5, and that includes satyrs, undeads, and bandits. It's like they're lining up a joke for fucking, a rabbi, a priest, and some other guy walks into a bar, except it's just a fucking satyr and a whole bunch of random other shit that has nothing to do with a satyr or the jungle just walks into a bar, and whatever the fucking punchline is just my disappointment and depression for this game. Anyways, moving on. Dynamic spawns are just fucking garbage right now, and I don't think they really fit. It does make the world look a little bit okay, but it doesn't really make it feel lived in. It's still an empty husk, and I'm still annoyed. For the good, the one thing I fucking complained about for like, I don't know how long, the render distance, it's half fixed. Okay, the good, right? You can see people's names now, right? You can see guilds, you can see people's names from a distance. A better distance too, not 10 feet. You don't just see humanoid now, you can see names. So it makes it a little bit easier for you to see who's passing by in your viewpoint, and it allows you to kind of judge the character. So if you see a certain guild you don't like, you're like, oh shit, I just want to run from them or I want to attack them. You can actually make those decisions now on the fly rather than just waiting till someone approaches you and then shoots you in the fucking face. Though the armor and everything still kind of loads in a little bit late, so it's sort of a half-assed fix. It will be fixed soon. I can see this baby step as leading into what they need to do, and I'm pretty happy about it, right? Like, it actually makes things a little bit easier to deal with. It doesn't feel like you're just being blindsided by random people as they load in. Now, the bad. Something happened to the server meshes, okay? The server mesh lines are worse than before. I'm finding myself getting stuck on them for even longer now. I'm finding myself loading in without my horse half the time, and this just reminds me of the alpha, where I'd ride over the mesh line over north of Vada, and my horse would go without me and I'd lose it. And then I had to retame it once I crossed the server mesh line. So basically, I loaded, said, guys, hold on, my horse would go ahead, and I'd have to run up and retame it. Or my favorite part is my horse would just fucking go, and then I'd sit still in the air. I'd just be completely stuck in the air, just sitting there. I've gotten killed like that before in the alpha too. I remember sitting there, I'm like, what the hell do we do, guys? And then someone starts hitting me with arrows and I'm dead. It's like, fuck, we're kind of back at square one, at least close back to square one. It just reminds me of all the shit I hated in alpha that I had to just get used to and get over. Now players can target you on the mesh lines even worse than before. People were already doing it in the jungle. People were just waiting on those mesh lines because there was like 3 consecutive mesh lines right on the road. And yeah, people are like, don't take the road. It's fucking okay. Just don't take the road. Nah, man. When there's 3 consecutively on the road and people literally wait up on that cliff and just fucking peck you, that's kind of abusing those because you can't do anything during that time. You're just going to get fucking hit and dead. Or your horse dies first. You know, it's just... That's just a whole nother thing on the community abusing a whole bunch of the exploits that are in this game and the backdooring and all the other fucking broken stuff. The local gray getting fixed makes me happy because now when someone attacks you, their pet also goes gray rather than having the pet be able to just sit there and fucking, you can't do anything to it. I mean, you could probably utilize that for blue blocking prior. I've never really seen much exploits with it other than people complaining about their pets, you know, people's pets not getting flagged properly. But I'm glad that's fixed now because we're just taking more steps, more baby steps, like I said before, in the right direction towards fixing certain aspects of the game. I am a little disappointed that Henrik referred to this as the boring patch because a lot of these things needed to be fixed and ironed out before they released it. A lot of the issues like housing not working properly and losing its contents, to the reputation system being completely broken and one-sided, to a lot of other issues in the game like falling through the map, nav mesh not working, node lines not working, or server mesh lines not working, trading not working properly, duping issues. All those things needed to be ironed out and were present issues in the alpha as well as present issues in MO1. So Henrik referring to this as the boring patch just makes me feel like he was aware of all this stuff and then decided he wanted to continue to push content rather than fixes. If it was me, and I'm not saying I fucking am a developer, nor am I a CEO of a company, nor am I a CEO of StarVault, I would have fixed and ironed all this shit out. It's the same stuff I complain about with CIG never fixing their bugs. And every time they add something new, a new bug, and all the old ones come and rear their ugly head. Like, why do I still die on staircases? That's always a loaded question. In Star Citizen, it's just always a problem where I die on staircases. I get warned, don't run on staircases. Well, yeah, sure. If we want the game to be as realistic as possible, that's fucking terrible if I can't run on staircases in a virtual world. Yeah, sure, I can run on a staircase on a real world, but I might fuck up my shins. Anyways, enough about staircases in Star Citizen. I'm a little offended that this is just referred to as the boring patch. I want to see more fixes and I want to see things ironed out. I am happy we are taking stuff in the right direction. Now, another thing I'm very happy about is the fact that grays can now continue to hit you and their timer will go up rather than their timer ticking down as they're pecking you from afar. For example, you can sit behind the trees all the way in Moki and just start pecking people's horses. And by the time your 4 minutes are up, someone finally finds you and can't kill you because now you're blue. So it's good that that's going to keep cycling, and it's a small direction. Like I said, it's a small step in the right direction to get things fixed and get things on the right track. I'm very happy about it. It's good. It really is. Because I like seeing the fixes, the bug fixes that make things a little bit easier to function and not so frustrating for players who are on the verge of quitting because of how bad the game is currently. Houses being placed within 20 meters of themselves, yeah, sure, it was a problem because I was watching people just jam their houses next to each other, as well as jam their houses next to the walls of keeps. That was a very common thing if people just putting houses right on the walls. It's a good fix, right? It's a step in the right direction. It's good. Things are going in a decent way. The bad. Their server stuff is still shitty. All right. We're losing a lot of players still. And I feel like their crowning achievement is sitting on this main server and saying, look, we have one server now. But they didn't realize that like we're losing 50% of players every month. So by the time they come out with this server, it's not even going to be able to hold 10K. It seems like 2K is their limit because at 2K, I remember the server was crashing. So I'm not sure where they're going with this by saying network optimization and all this other stuff. I feel like that's just masking a lot of the issues and them saying, oh, look, we have a single server. Everything works fine. Everything's great. We'll open up the alt ones if anything ever breaks. And after this, they actually did open up the alt one after the main server crashed. That's my bad take on this because I'm not too happy with it. I feel like there can be more netcode optimizations. A lot of the dueling is still shoddy and there's a lot of issues that are still present as far as the netcode goes. Once again, the local gray fixes are great because it just makes things a little bit easier for people trying to defend themselves rather than being exploited through the pet issues and other issues. The rock solid buff for Ogmirs, I actually didn't know was a problem. I didn't know people were popping that and actually still moving and being able to use that buff. A huge problem I was wondering is, why am I dealing like no damage to these people? And I didn't even test it out myself, right? Like I honestly like breaking stuff, and I know a lot of problems in this game and a lot of issues that can be, broken very easily. And I honestly should have done it myself. I should have done the research. I could have known about it, but unfortunately I didn't. And this is something new to me that I see on here is like, oh shit, well, I guess people have been using that. So that's good it's fixed. It's good it's actually what it needs to be, so that way I can just stand still and not die rather than just move around and not die. So I'm glad it's going in the right direction. Lighter weapons, faster swing speed. 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 I'm so glad it's fixed. I really am. It baffled me. I bitched about it in a prior video. I was like, why the hell is this a thing, right? We have these huge heavy swords. Why, these one-handers should be so much faster. These lighter materials should be so much faster. But instead, it was the same exact friggin' thing. It was just broken. This is perfect. This is what needed to happen. This helps change up the meta. This helps change up the dynamic to make things a little bit easier to deal with and make the game seem less broken. AFK when crafting and all that other stuff, it's great, it's fixed, it's nice. I don't have to look at my other screen if I, let's say, want to watch YouTube and just mine by myself and be left alone. It's great, so I don't get AFK kicked. I don't really know if we should have the AFK thing. I mean, it is kind of boring having to sit into the game and just sit there and mine for 40-50 minutes without doing anything. Like, if God forbid I pick up my phone and I'm looking at it and I look back after like 15 minutes or whatever the AFK timeout is and I get timed out, that's gonna suck. So I'm glad that's fixed. Everything's moving in the right direction. And the last I really want to touch on is a lot of stuck reported locations. I think one of my first videos I commented about this game and I basically said, like, why am I getting stuck in these rocks? Why, if I go over this area, do I just get stuck in rocks? And there's no way to get me out. You can get your whole guild to try to shield bash, like daisy chain you out of there, and there was no way to get out. You basically had to have someone sit on the edge where you were stuck, and then you had to kill yourself. They had to try to reach your bag so they can trade with you, and then take all your shit, put it into their bag, and then kill themselves. And the person who's next to them has to do that, and then you just essentially daisy chain their stuff. That was fucking horrible, and I hated it. But I'm glad to see that there's a lot of stuck locations that are no longer problems. But let me tell you this: there are still a lot of stuck locations. With how Moki is positioned, there's a lot of rocks behind one of the rear gates or walls or whatever you want to call it, where you can actually fall into and you can't get out. There's no amount of jumping with an Alvarin that can get you over those rocks and over the side of the wall. You still get stuck. You still get stuck in a lot of rocks. You still get stuck here and there. So honestly, they do need to do a little bit more polishing, but I'm glad things are looking good in the right direction. Now, there's still the issue of the invisible weapons. That's always a problem. It still has been a present problem, and I still see it in PvP. It needs to be fixed, and it's very common knowledge on how to recreate it. I'm really kind of sad that the devs haven't just jumped on it and fixed it immediately, but that's me. I'm not a developer. The guild chests still in homes are broken and need to be fixed. It makes housing kind of useless. And like I said before, housing is still broken and we're still losing stuff inside of homes. We're also still waiting on GMs about home issues, like my home that went to space. You placed it and then it just went up in the air. Still hasn't come down. I wonder what it's doing up there. With that being said, though, I'm very happy this stuff is going in the right direction. We're taking in, like I said before, when we're repeating it multiple times, that we are in the right direction. We're taking baby steps and we're getting things done that we need to get done. I'm excited to see more and more patches, as we did see the roadmap get released from Henrik on his last stream. Now we're going to be having another stream from him, I believe, this Thursday. I kind of don't key into them just because I'm usually busy. I'm working, very long hours. So I usually watch Wolfseat or someone else try to recap it. But for this being said, I'm hoping that we get to see more stuff in the right direction. No more is it going to be a boring patch, but it's going to be more fixes and more ironing out of bugs that usually make people frustrated and wanting to leave the game. The reputation system, the housing, a lot of the items being broken. The swing speed's nice and fixed. I'd like to see a little bit more changes to that, as well as the server mesh lines and everything else in between that I've complained about in this video. I'd like to see get ironed out fully and fully fleshed out into the system that we want to see. For example, the reputation system and the bounty hunting system and all that other stuff that's listed on the roadmap for anything around reputation needs a solid foundation of the crim system fixed and everything else. It needs to be fixed. I'm glad it's looking up. I'm glad it's moving forward, and I look forward to the next hotfix. I look forward to the next patch, and hopefully soon we'll see a good, polished foundation for them to add these things from their roadmap. I'd like to see bounty hunting in, but I'd like to not see bounty hunting get added and things break. So anyways, guys, I'm Solar Polar Bear. I'm glad this is a little bit of a happier video rather than an annoyed rant. Stay humble, stay frosty. I'll see you again.